If you've watched the Giants win the World Series or almost any major sporting event, then you've probably seen these commercials during the breaks.
No one tops Verizon.
Just a normal guy getting a great deal.
Sprint gives families more high-speed data than T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon.
More data capacity per customer than Verizon and AT&T.
Finally, let's take a look at how technology is changing wireless networks. Welcome to Network Wars. The FCC is the government agency responsible for making sure that the wireless industry is healthy. And while next year this controversial government agency will announce how it's going to regulate broadband companies that bring the internet into your home, it might actually be doing a good job with the wireless industry. Let's finally take a look at how wireless competition might actually be working, how carriers are innovating with new services, and how subscribers are getting cheaper prices. But first, if you want some more background information into some of the topics I'll be covering in this video, be sure to check out these other episodes where I go into more detail. First, some background. Every profitable business must accomplish two tasks. It must create value for its customers, and it must capture value for its investors. In order to do this, every business has to convert some inputs into some outputs. For the wireless industry, the inputs are spectrum licenses, cell towers, and mobile devices. And the output is a large, fast, and reliable network. Wireless carriers are essentially service businesses. They create value by charging subscribers for access to their networks. Today, some of the most valuable communications innovations are happening on top of wireless networks. Now, all carriers really have the same goal: to make money by keeping customers happy. And they do this by growing their subscriber base. They'll offer promotions, they'll bundle services and devices, they'll pay for access to exclusive smartphones, but most importantly, they really have to keep their subscriber base happy. Now, all public wireless companies measure happiness by looking at a metric called churn, which is the percentage of wireless customers who leave the network. Now, with that out of the way, let's finally review the four carriers. How is each company improving its network in 2015? In short, Verizon is building capacity in congested cities. AT&T is going after growth by lowering its prices and connecting more than just mobile devices to its network. T-Mobile is in the middle of a spectacular comeback, and Sprint is trying to regroup. First, Verizon. Since 2011, Verizon has made the most money, made the most profit, had the lowest churn, and all this despite having fewer devices than AT&T. Like Apple in consumer electronics or Google in internet services, Verizon controls the premium part of the wireless industry. So how exactly did they do this? Verizon was the first company to build a nationwide LTE network by betting on low-frequency spectrum. Also, most of Verizon's subscribers are locked into valuable 2-year contracts. But today, Verizon is focused on its biggest weakness, which is improving performance in congested areas. So far this year, we've been seeing a ton of these commercials.
No one tops Verizon. With XLTE, our 4G LTE bandwidth has doubled in over 400 cities.
This is really Verizon's version of LTE Advanced, which is based on some spectrum that Verizon traded with T-Mobile. It doesn't necessarily boost the top speed, but it does double the network's capacity from 20 to 40 megahertz, covering 80% of the country. But only newer Verizon XLT-rated devices will be able to take advantage of these higher frequencies. The smart thing about this strategy is that as more Verizon customers switch over to higher frequency devices, older 700 megahertz devices will have less congestion, so in effect everybody wins. Verizon promises that during peak hours, traffic moves faster, but the speed limit will stay the same. In 2015, Verizon is working on fixing its weak signal in urban areas by adding more small cell towers. Now, weak signals in urban areas are actually a big problem because the weaker the signal, the harder your smartphone battery has to work and the quicker your battery dies. So by complementing existing large, high-power cell towers with smaller, easier to install antennas, the Verizon network in congested, dense urban areas will definitely improve. Now, Verizon is also testing out some pretty cool features like Voice over LTE, which allows you to get HD video and voice calling with the right device. But the most interesting innovation is just starting to come out right now. In 3 years, mobile video will account for about 66% of all mobile data. So Verizon just started introducing LTE multicast in certain flagship devices. Subscribers will be able to watch over-the-top live TV without congesting the network. And while this would be awesome for live events like the Super Bowl, the Grammys, the Oscars, and major sporting events, the big question is how many people will actually use the service. And since Verizon just started seeding devices with this functionality, it's really too early to tell if it's going to be a success. But the recent NFL partnership that was renewed still makes Verizon the best network for NFL fans.
Watch primetime NFL games on NFL Mobile, included with the More Everything plan, exclusively from Verizon.
So the bottom line, while Verizon continues to have the best LTE coverage in rural and suburban areas, it's investing big time in improving its performance in congested, dense urban areas while also adding in some interesting features on the side. Second, AT&T. Although AT&T is second to Verizon as a business, it recently made some changes that made its customers even happier and hopes to bring even more customers to the network. If Verizon is focused on the premium end of the market, AT&T is really focused on growth by offering more data at cheaper prices. First, I should reiterate that both AT&T and Verizon control about 70% of the wireless industry, and all because they have pretty much controlled the low end of the frequency spectrum. And both companies are making similar moves with things like LTE Advanced and LTE Multicast, and even partnering up to offer interoperable voice over LTE calling across both networks. But today, AT&T is really doing something different. With its LTE rollout already complete and ahead of schedule, it's now optimizing its network through software. In the same way that smartphones get better and better after OS updates, AT&T's network is getting better by using self-optimizing software to handle and manage traffic. Also, it was really AT&T that was the first major carrier to deploy small cells in a big way. But let's be real, AT&T really started doing well when this cute actress became its best salesperson.
It's the same plan for everyone. Families, businesses, whoever. Really isn't any celebrity treatment. We're just saying it loudly for some reason.
Basically, AT&T was forced to unbundle its offer by separating the payments that go towards a new smartphone from payments that actually pay for data and services. The company is moving away from established 2-year contracts. In effect, they've unbundled the cost of the smartphone from the cost of using the network. And over half of subscribers today are on this new plan. As you can see in the graphs, this lowers AT&T's profits and drops their revenues, but customers are definitely happier. So the question is, why did AT&T feel like they had to do this? For me, this is evidence that healthy competition in the wireless industry is actually benefiting consumers. AT&T had to give up some margin in order to keep their customers happy. And AT&T isn't just limiting itself to smartphones. Over 1.3 million devices are now connected to its network, including over 500,000 cars from GM, Audi, and Tesla. If successful, AT&T will be the network that brings the Internet of Things into reality. But AT&T didn't start this price war. It was actually T-Mobile that fired the first shots. So in the next episode, we're going to go over how T-Mobile successfully transformed itself into what's probably the best value in the smartphone industry today, and how Sprint is really struggling to figure out where its future is going to go. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I wanted to split it up into 2 parts because it seems like it was going a little bit long, and I want to work on making shorter and shorter videos that get the points across more quickly. If you have any questions, please leave your comments below. I'll be sure to respond and get back into the swing of things here. And I wanted to take a minute to thank you guys for all the feedback in the last video. It really helped me put one foot in front of the other and move ahead. Made me feel that, we're not alone in this world. And every one of you who left a comment, who clicked that like button, not only in that video, but in all the videos, really makes all of this worthwhile. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me and being with me through all of this. And stay tuned for the next episode. Any comments, any questions, leave them below. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching.